Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's racing show is sponsored by Chad Rat Construction, Dan Henning Microsport and Cage Kart Wings, and Brody Manning Motorsports. Tonight on the Let's get these drivers ready to rock. Let's get the crowd in the stands. Let's get ready to go racing. Tonight on the Josh Nolan and Oliver Russ, Full Throttle Racing Show, #1 on YouTube, we have with us racing superstar, racing sensation, Brett Rowles. How's it going, Brett?
Not too bad. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. So, Brett, let's talk about your racing career. How did you end up in this awesome sport?
Well, to be completely honest with you, racing's always been a family thing for me. Um, my family got started in racing down in Sarasota, Florida in the late 1950s. My great grandfather and his brothers, they all started down there. And then my great grandpa got me into four cylinders when I was about 14. And, it's just been an ongoing thing since then.
So, when you first got into a race car, Brett, were you scared at all or nervous?
Not really. My family between, racing itself, doing tractor pulling, I've kind of always been the adrenaline junkie, so to speak. So yeah, I mean, not really nervous, more so anxious to get out there and, have some fun.
Okay. So, Brett, when you're out there racing, what helps get your mind mentally prepared to go out there and race?
Well, to be honest, a lot of things. Um, One thing I like to do is, kind of remove myself from the situation, listen to some music, kind of get that kind of blood flowing. Um, just kind of try to psych myself up and, focus on everything that's about to happen rather than, small stuff that can wait till after the race is over, like, adjustments, stuff like that, try to block out all the outside noise and, just focus on those 8 laps at a time.
So, when you're getting mentally prepared to do this, what type of music do you like to listen to?
Um, I'm more so like, stuff that'll get you going, like the heavy metal, the rock, for that. I'll listen to, some Rob Zombie, Avenged Sevenfold, Godsmack, Motley Crue, stuff like that.
Okay. So, Brett, okay, when you're at the track, what's an awesome day at the track look like for you?
Um, well, an awesome day at the track for me has kind of changed over the years. Um, it used to all just be about winning when I got there. Now, uh, I've kind of taken a step back from that mentality and I'm just kind of there having fun. Um, I've went from the big cars now down to the go-kart ranks, trying to get the kids involved in racing. So pretty much just, bringing the cart home in one piece, showing my kids that, it doesn't always have to be about collecting checkered flags. You can still have fun in this sport, regardless of where you finish. So yeah, pretty much as long as the cart comes home in one piece and everybody's healthy and, all the drivers and fans and crew are all safe, that's a win in my book.
Okay, so what's an awesome day at the race shop look like for you then?
An awesome day at the race shop is minimal broken parts, minimal adjusting. As long as I can, come home, clean the tires, make sure that the numbers are still good on the scales during the week. That's pretty much a glorious week for me. So far starting out, it's been pretty lucky to, not have too many issues going so far, but, knock on wood for that sort of thing. Cause, in the racing world, those come a dime a dozen.
Oh, yes. So, Brett, what is your home racetrack you race on?
My home racetrack is Ransomville Speedway in Ransomville, New York. We've got a couple of guys that are up in the big ranks now that have kind of made their claim to fame. It's a great facility, great racetrack, puts on some amazing racing. Some of our local guys that you may have heard about before, um, Lucas Oil Late Model Series driver Tim McCready. He cut
Oh,
his
yeah.
teeth at Ransomville. NASCAR Cup or NASCAR Truck Series driver Stuart Friesen.
Oh,
His
yeah.
his uncle and dad used to actually own the track. That was his family's track. Honestly, if it weren't for his dad and his uncle allowing me to race at 14, I probably wouldn't have gotten into the sport at the time that I did. So, huge shout out to the Friesen family up here in New York and up in Canada. But yeah, Ransomville Speedway, it's amazing track. If y'all are, local, I suggest, coming out, checking it out. It's the East Coast Modifieds. I don't know if you guys are really familiar with that at all.
Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah, it's a good little facility, good little track. They put on some pretty good racing.
So Brett, okay, Ransomville is your home track. So on an awesome night at Ransomville Speedway, what is your favorite type of track to race on at Ransomville? A dry slick, a heavy track, or
I like the dry slick tracks more. Just my personal opinion. I feel like when the track gets real slicked off and it gets real like racy, that's when you see the real driver skill come out. Um, that's just my preference. I prefer a dry slick racetrack. I think it makes better racing than, heavy, horsepower, flat footing it down. I mean, don't get me wrong, the high speeds are exciting for the heavy tracks, but I don't think the racing can compare to once that track slicks off and some rubber gets laid down and the cars get multi-groove racing. I think that's the best for the fan side, at least for me.
okay. So Brett, okay, Ransomville is your home track. What is your favorite track you've ever raced on?
So my racing career has been pretty limited. I've raced at maybe a handful of tracks. However, my favorite track, I haven't had the pleasure of racing there. However, I was the flagman there for a little bit. Tennessee National Raceway in Hohenwald, Tennessee, when I lived down in Tennessee for a little bit. In my opinion, one of the best racetracks in that area. The owner, Cooter Harris, top-notch guy. In my opinion, I think he's one of the better owners of racetracks that I've had the pleasure of knowing. Um, really, really oriented for giving back to his drivers and the people that come out to support him. In my multiple years, almost 2 decades of racing experience, he's the only track owner that I've ever seen do free pit entry for the drivers on an occasion, just to show the drivers, hey, you're my show, come on out, I'll take care of you, you take care of me, we're in this together kind of thing. So yeah, that's my favorite track. I haven't had the pleasure of racing there yet, but I would love to scratch that off the bucket list one day.
Very cool. So what's your least favorite track you've ever raced on?
My least favorite track that I've ever raced on, I would have to say, and I'm probably going to get some bad juju for saying this, but at the time, because it's went through several owners being at the fairgrounds, but Genesee Speedway in Batavia. At the time that I raced there, there was a lot of politics, a lot of favoritism, a lot of fighting. Just a lot of people were allowed to get away with certain things that other people weren't. Um, Track wasn't really the best. You go through suspension equipment pretty quick there. I believe it's since changed. The new people that have taken it over, from what I've heard, it's gotten a lot better. Um, but now with me being down in the go-kart ranks, I haven't been able to, go back and test that theory. But I'm thinking about heading out there Saturday and going to watch the season opener for them. So
Okay. So Brett, okay, let's talk about your racing number now. Where did that number come from?
So contrary to the normal, this might actually make me sound pretty bad. Me and my stepdad, that's kind of how racing started for me outside of my great grandfather. Me and my stepdad have kind of had a rocky relationship over the years. His number was 17. I started out racing 00 to pay homage to my grandfather. Once me and my stepdad's relationship kind of turned sour, I threw the 17 on my car with the letter R for my last name, just to be that petty teenager, because we were all there at one point. We thought we were better than our parents. Um, so yeah, that's kind of where the number came from. I took his number just to be that, jerk teenager, trying to get back at my parents, and it just kind of stuck. Uh, Now 17 has become one of my favorite numbers in general. So I guess it's kind of funny how it's gone full circle there. But yeah, that's kind of the story to the number.
So, Brett, who is the race car driver that is your favorite to watch?
So my favorite to watch, I've got a current and I've got an all time. My current favorite driver to watch has got to be Tim McCready. Not just for the local bias, but to see him be able to go from our modifieds to the late models and be able to have success that he has, not only grabbing the Lucas Oil Championship, but now he's driving for Rocket. I mean that's a huge deal for, a small little, two stoplight town up here in northwestern New York. Um, so yeah, I'd say Tim McCready's probably my current favorite driver to watch. I was born a little bit after this driver unfortunately passed away, but one thing I like to do to try to learn different things, even though it's from the asphalt standpoint, is Richie Evans. I've always been a big Richie Evans fan. Uh, I have a friend of mine that, has actually had the pleasure of knowing Richie from racing out that way with his dad in the asphalt modifieds. Just the talent that he had and how quick, uh, he unfortunately was taken from us. Um, he's one of those drivers that I think if, he would have been able to stick around on Earth a little bit longer, he would have been a lot more common of a name than he already is. But yeah, Richie Evans, he's probably the one that I would go with.
Okay, so Brett, who helps work on your race car?
So right now I've got some pretty solid help. Honestly, I don't know what I'd do without them. First and foremost, my fiance Courtney, she's been my biggest support. Um, she's not always fond of the idea of the cart, but you know, that's the role of the wife, got to keep us grounded. But yeah, my fiance Courtney, she's been the biggest support out of all of them. My cousin Jay, he's been at the cart ranks for a couple of years now, so he's been helping me out. I've been getting a lot of good help from the guys at Performance Manufacturing, the home of the Slack chassis. They've been pointing me in the right direction. And as well, a big help that hasn't been directly helpful. I got the chance of, racing against him this past Saturday. He has a YouTube channel called Kart 6T3 on YouTube. His name's Ben Taft. That man, he's been racing go-karts for about 20 plus years, and the wisdom that he puts out on his YouTube channel, second to none. So yeah, like I said, I got a great support system behind me. I don't know where I'd be without them guys because I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing when it comes to these carts, and they've been the ones that's been, kind of keeping me in the right direction here.
So, Brett, okay. So, Brett, do you have any crazy racing stories you'd like to share with us?
I got a couple actually. Um, Personally, I've flipped three front wheel drive race cars.
Hmm.
Um, my first ever flip was my first ever race. I bought my cousin's car from the year before that he had won the championship in, and 8 laps into our 12 lap feature, I had went from 11th to 4th and then blew out my lower ball joint going into turn 3 and up and over she went for a couple of times. I've had the unfortunate pleasure of starting on fire on my roof. I've pretty much done it all when it's come to racing.
Wow.
But the weirdest thing that I've ever been a part of was in the middle of spring to the start of summer, going out to 5 Mile Point in New York with a buddy of mine for his sportsman modified feature tour race. And in Victory Lane in the middle of spring, it started snowing. So standing in Victory Lane in like May and snow's falling on the ground, that's probably been the weirdest out of all of them. Other than other than the Friday the 13th crash at Ransomville Speedway. You guys can find that clip on YouTube. It started raining about uh half dollar sized raindrops coming out of turn 4, and every single modified, it's like almost like a sketch, like if you would have drawn it up, like every single modified in a line straight into the wall, flipping up and over the wall. It was craziness. So yeah, I've got some crazy stories from racing. But then again, I've been doing this for the past 14 years. So, in that amount of time, it's kind of a lot of time to accumulate some.
Oh yes. So Brett, okay. So do you have a racing nickname, Brett?
Yes. So with my last name being Rowles and the fact that I've flipped over 3 front wheel drives, my friends and my family have passionately nicknamed me Rollover Rolls. It's not really a nickname that I've been, too thrilled about because, trying to leave those wrecked race cars in the past to move forward. But just a friendly little joking thing that we do. Uh, but yeah, rollover rolls, that'd be the racing nickname that unfortunately I got stuck with.
So Brett, as a race car driver, how does it feel to win races?
Well, to my credit, I've only ever won a what we call out here a bandits class, which is basically the kids 4-cylinder class. I won the heat and the feature in the same night, and that was the last time and only time I've ever been to Victory Lane personally. Um, it's really exciting. Self-fulfilling, but it's probably been one of the biggest emotional swings that I've been on in my racing career. Because it's not just the joys of winning that you have to deal with. There's always those, as the laps are winding down, you start getting anxious, wondering who's going to make a move and when it's coming. Got to get prepared for it. But yeah, I'd say overall the self-fulfillment, knowing that all your hard work is paid off, the hours that you put into the shop during the week, all the hard work that your friends and your family, your sponsors are putting in, it's all going in the right direction. Instead of going backwards, you're making progress and moving strides forward.
Okay. So Brett, when you win races, how do you celebrate your victories?
Well, now that I'm an adult, you know, after the races are over, get everything loaded up, crack a couple of cold ones, smoke a cigar, kick back, talk to the guys around the trailer for a little bit, head back home, crack a couple more beers and start a bonfire and, just kind of have a kickback, laid back night with the friends and the family.
Very cool. Very cool. So Brett, uh, okay, Brett. So do you have a racing page that the racing fans can follow you on?
I don't currently, however, I'm in the process of making that happen here tomorrow evening. I got to sit down and actually get that designed up. It is going to be Rowles Racing, Rowles, and then Racing. Um, 17R is going to be also in there. So yeah, Rowles Racing 17R can be the page on Facebook. Um, I also do updates on my Snapchat as well. That's also Rowles Racing 17R. So yeah, we'll have that page, done tomorrow. It'll probably be up either tomorrow night, if not tomorrow night, Thursday morning. So yeah, that's pretty much how you guys can keep up to tabs with, what we're doing and, who's all supporting us and, where we're going and, what's going on here at the 17R camp.
Okay. So Brett, I'm going to go ahead and throw the mic over to you. If you have any questions for me, go ahead and you can ask me some questions if you'd like.
Have you ever had the pleasure of coming out to the Northeast for any racing
I have
events?
not. I have not at all. Not at all.
Okay. If there's one I can recommend that you should come to, it would be up here in Oswego, New York. It's an event called Super Dirt Week. It's held right there at the Steel Palace. It's the same Steel Palace that they run the asphalt super modifieds on. They throw down some truckloads of clay, and the dirt guys come out and play for the weekend. Well, pretty much the week. They've got camping, they've got food, vendors, it's a whole big fun. Um, they do infield parties. You can walk around the pits at no additional cost. They do, it's a family thing too. You can bring your kids with you. Every year at like the first 2 days of the event, they'll put up like a big video board in the infield. Last year they played Cars for the kids, and then they played Days of Thunder for the adults. Yeah, I'd love to have you come on up and, hang out at Super Dirt Week with us. Kenny Schrader's and Kenny Wallace were there not last year, but the year before. We got some of the bigger name guys starting to swing through, trying to make a tackle at the attempt. But yeah, I'd love to have you come up and, hang out for the week and, come camping and watch some Northeast Modifieds.
Okay, very cool, very cool, very cool. You have any other questions for me, Brett?
No, not really, other than what got you into the sport of racing?
Just a sport I've followed since I've been a kid. It's like, yeah, sport I gravitated towards.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Brett, is there anybody else you would like to thank you for helping you get into the sport of auto racing?
Yeah. Honestly, like I said, I got to thank my fiance, my cousins, and friends and family that have been helping me with, not only helping the pits, but helping the shop during the week. Um, I got to thank my sponsors. I wouldn't be anywhere without them. They've really stepped up big this year and helped me get back into racing after a couple of year hiatus. Um, I got to thank International Stone Gallery in Lockport, New York, Manito's Taco Shop, Wright's Corners, Lockport, New York. They just got put on Yelp's top 100 places to eat in the USA. If you guys are ever up here in the Western New York area, awesome, awesome family, authentic Mexican food, great Mexican food, low price. Stop and get you some. I also got to thank Scott and Dave Just over at Just Signs and Designs. They've got my body right now, getting that thing all sharp, ready for the race season. I also got to thank my buddy Dale up at 716 The Hub Premium Cannabis. He stepped up big. He's been a real big support. I'm really looking forward to the partnership that me and him have got going on. Uh, Want to thank you for having me on the podcast, first and foremost. And yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it.
So, those businesses you listed, Brett, are those your sponsors?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Are you currently looking for more sponsors?
I'm always open to sponsorship. Honestly, I think sponsors are one of the key things to the sport. Um, I like to make the connection to how popular NASCAR was in the early 2000s to where it's at now. The big name people like Lowe's and Home Depot and stuff like that. You guys got that for NASCAR, but for us small little local guys, running dirt tracks or local asphalt tracks, it's really about the mom and pop shops, at least for my team.
Yeah.
I really like supporting local business over big companies. Especially now that COVID's over, small businesses have taken a pretty big hit. So, as much as I can help out the small businesses, whether it's here local or a small mom and pop shop down in Tennessee where I used to live, or even, somebody else that wanted to hop on board. Like I said, local owned, veteran owned, I'm all on board for it.
Okay. So, definitely go hit up Brett Rowles on Facebook because he'd appreciate the sponsorship on his race car. Definitely. So, Brett, one last question for you. Who are some of your friends in the racing world?
Some of my friends in the racing world, it's I got a lot of guys from down south in Tennessee. Um, One of my favorite people in all of existence live down in Tennessee. He runs 602 late models. Honestly, the dude is top-notch personality, and he is a huge inspiration to people. Charlie Ray Howell, that guy, he's a really great guy who's doing a lot to give back to the sport of racing. He has a foundation that he's currently going and trying to get up and running and get going to bigger levels than he's currently at. It's called Racing for Those That Can't. Charlie's story, he's paralyzed from the waist down. He races 602 late models, all with hand controls. And the dude is a freaking wheel man, no pun intended. Um, Absolute saint of a human being. Another good friend of mine that I've got in the racing world down there, Trevor Woodard. Uh, that man is another talented wheelman. I honestly don't think that there's a better street stock driver out there than Trevor Woodard. Dude's just killing it this year so far. Been in victory lane multiple times, so congrats to him. Couple of local buddies from up here in New York. My buddy Chris Miller, he and his son race go-karts with me. I actually bought his son's kart from last year. Um, Another buddy of mine from up this way, Brandon Odo, he used to run 600 micro sprints. He's since gotten out of racing, but I'm trying to get him back into the sport. Um, Not too many. I kind of like to keep my circle small, but that's
Okay.
pretty that's my group of guys right there.
Okay. So, Brett, thank you for being on our racing show tonight, talking to us about your racing career. I will call you a little bit to thank you in person, but thank you again for making an appearance on the racing show tonight with me.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Okay. So, Brett, I'll have you step out. I'll give a little racing news update, and I will call you a little bit.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Brett Rowles from Brett Rowles 17R Racing. Definitely go check them out. Very awesome individual. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to sponsor a racing show or be on a racing show, feel free to call us or text us at 712-209-7138, or you can email us at jjnolan151 at gmail.com, or you can, or with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have a good night. Catch you later on another episode of the Josh Nolan and Oliver Us, Full Throttle Racing Show, #1 on YouTube.